So we've talked about Biden's legacy enough. I want to move on to Biden's appointees. So we've already talked about Neera Tanden, leader of a progressive, not a progressive, just a corporate think tank, who's just super openly hostile to progressives and change. She's argued for cutting Social Security and a whole bunch of other just right-wing wish lists.
I've just got a quote from her about saying that we have a great deficit, and then she was speaking about Libya and other countries. That they have a lot of oil. If we want to keep engaged in the world, gestures like having oil-rich countries partly pay us back for the wars we waged against them doesn't sound crazy to me. So Tulsi Gabbard described that as Neera Tanden's thinking the way to reduce our deficit is to steal oil from countries like Libya to pay us back for bombing them into being a failed state.
Wow.
You know, so that's how backwards that woman is, and that's how backwards Joe Biden has always been. He wanted right from, I remember back when the aggression against Iraq was happening. I remember Biden was just a Democrat or one senator that went along with the Bush administration. He was the leading cheerleader for war on the Democratic side and pushed us to war. He was the leader of the Democrats. And I remember him desiring that Iraq be cut into 3 or 4 pieces, different countries. I mean, the arrogance of thinking the United States should go and attack other countries and divide them up into smaller pieces that we can manipulate and control. It's just horrible. He's a horrible man. He's an imperialist through and through. He's a liar. He's a sellout. He's corrupt. His family's corrupt. In any decent society, this would all have been exposed, and decent people wouldn't have accepted a person like that. He's against everything we believe in. As was stated earlier, he's against the Green New Deal. He's not going to help us try to save the earth in any meaningful way. Medicare for all during a pandemic, where well over 250,000 Americans have died. And it's something that people want. It's insane. Why do we have this person? It's because the systems are rigged. It's not democratic. You know, we don't get to choose something good. We rarely, Bernie was a rare opportunity to try, but they did foil us, and we've got this monster. And I'm reminded of I was reading the Venezuelan news one day, and it said 2 buffoons are the candidates for the U.S. presidency. 2 buffoons, corrupt imperialist buffoons, and that's what we get to choose from out of 300 million plus people. It's insane. We live in an insane situation. We're in an existential crisis from the threats of atomic war and environmental destruction. And Joe Biden is not going to lead us to a happy outcome for the human race. Just not. It's up.
Well, it's funny that you bring up Libya, because you know who he just picked up for the DHS? He picked up Obama's old DHS secretary, the architect of the drone program. So we're going to have more drone strikes, more extrajudicial killings.
Yeah, I mean, remember the Obama-Biden administration were horrible on that. I mean, just remember, there's, the president gets lists and decides who to murder, I mean, and then when they murder him, they often blow away the family or the neighbors or whoever happens to be wandering down the street at the time.
We have information based on a cell phone located in the area, so we're just going to bomb it.
That's somebody with a name similar to some guy we're looking for.
We heard.
It's totally insane. And another thing, before I forget it, is the Obama-Biden administration deported tremendous amounts of people. I believe it was 1,000 people a week, every week
They broke the old
for,
Bush
for
record.
8 years.
They
For
broke
8 years,
for the
even in our area, in the Long Prairie area, I heard of people, uh, some Mexican workers that got stopped by the police, got deported. You know, sometimes these are family people, with a wife and 3 kids sitting in northern Minnesota in the middle of the winter, not even knowing what happened to the guy. And they learn weeks later he's down in Mexico. I'm stuck here with I mean, really horrible stories of sundering families and causing tremendous hardship to people who work hard, are law abiding, decent people, good neighbors, just horrible things. And now he pretends that he's going to have a diverse cabinet or something. And the identity politics and bringing in people of different colors and such doesn't mean anything if they're other neoliberal hacks, uh,
So
Speaking of his appointments, he appointed Representative Cedric Richmond to the Office of Public Engagement. And Richmond is a Democrat who's received he's taken more donations from fossil fuel industry during his congressional career than nearly any other Democrat, and has repeatedly sided with Republicans and voted against Democrats and voted with Republicans on environmental issues.
And
But does he have a D on his
what's the
helmet?
position he's pointed to?
He's appointed to lead the Office of Public Engagement.
But Bernie's not a real Democrat.
Yeah. Biden opposes the Green New Deal because the price tag. I guess the destruction of all human life is a little bit more economically feasible for him.
It's not even that much.
That's capitalism.
Gets me. It's not that much when you consider was it Roosevelt that introduced the first Green New Deal? You look at the percentage of the GDP that took compared to what the Green New Deal would be in representative of our GDP, and it's not even near as much. And look what it did. It literally created the middle class.
And the Green New Deal would pay for itself, over at the most a few decades. It would pay for itself. And what's the price? What's the price of the natural world as we've known it?
The Green New Deal is just common sense, like it's just a starting point. It's not even like crazy left-wing
where we need to be. So why don't we just start there?
How crazy is it that we've known for 40 years or however long that the environment was being destroyed? We have the technology on the shelf now. We know what we need to do, but because somebody's making money off of things the way they are now, we're just going to sit here and watch everything die? That's insane. I mean, they've created a social order that is totally insane and dysfunctional. And look at how they've handled the pandemic. It's insane. The countries I'm familiar with in Latin America, Venezuela and Nicaragua, have both handled it. I mean, Nicaragua is an extremely poor country, second poorest in the hemisphere, and have handled it much, much better. It's much less of a problem. Venezuela, 10th of our population, and they have about 300 or 400 cases a day. Very few deaths. This country doesn't function.